Hi, today I'll be explaining the fundamental mechanisms behind what makes refractive index occur. But since this is my first video, I'd like to give a bit of an introduction on who I am and what my intentions are for this channel. Firstly, I've just graduated with a bachelor's degree in engineering with a specific focus on renewable energy systems. During this degree, my final year project involved developing an optical fiber sensor for battery thermal management. And this experience proved to be one of the most rewarding tasks I've undertaken, so much so that I will be studying a master's in optical engineering in the coming year. And this pretty much forms the basis for why I've decided to start this channel. I intend to use this platform to document my journey as I transition from my energy background into my dream career in photonics. On top of this, while I was doing research for my final year project, I discovered that the photonics scene on YouTube mainly consisted of postgraduate level highly theoretical content or elementary videos which don't really dive deeper into topics to build that intuitive understanding. I aim to bridge these two knowledge areas through breaking down high level topics such as the video today. And on a longer timescale, I intend to develop open source photonics projects draw upon the expertise of the wider audience as we grow together. Okay, and now onto the video. You've probably seen the classic pictures of an object or person half in air and half in water, and possibly even use Snell's law to calculate the expected behavior between certain materials, but rarely are we told what actually is going on, where explanations simply end at blanket acceptance of concepts. So why does it slow down, and where does refractive index come from? The main premise of refractive index can be broken down into three main concepts: electromagnetic electron interaction, dipole electromagnetic re-radiation, and superposition leading to wavefront delay. If you haven't been introduced to these concepts before, they may seem quite abstract. To help build an understanding of these concepts, I'll introduce an example. So now imagine a beam of light traveling through a vacuum unrestricted, but then it enters a block of glass. Glass, like all matter, is full of atoms, and around each atom are electrons. These electrons are held by an electric force to their parent nuclei. Electrons, as you know, hold a negative charge, and like everything else with a charge, they interact with the surrounding electric fields. And in this case, the electric fields come from the electromagnetic waves of the original beam of light. So as the beam of light travels through the glass, the oscillating electric fields cause the electron cloud of the atoms to oscillate in turn. These electron clouds oscillate with the same frequency as the incoming electromagnetic wave. This causes a polarization of the electrons and forms what are known as dipoles. You can see an example of this in the image in the bottom right corner. And as these dipoles oscillate, they emit their own secondary electromagnetic waves in all directions. This process can be seen in the bottom image, where an incoming electromagnetic field produces the donut-looking thing. This donut is the electromagnetic field released by the dipole. When you zoom out a little, this is happening all across the entire wavefront of the instant beam of light as it travels through the glass. And each of these dipole releases can be seen as a point source along this wavefront. And you have to remember that these releases are separate to the original electromagnetic waves. So when you combine all of them, like in the top image, you get a secondary wavefront that propagates alongside and counter to the original light. Now you might ask, how does this slow the light down? And in its current form, it wouldn't. But that's because we're still missing a crucial piece of information. While the frequency of the oscillations match that of the original incoming electromagnetic waves, the phase does not. This is because of the effect of the permittivity of the material. Permittivity represents the stiffness of the electrons and how resistant they are to becoming displaced by an electric field. The result of this is a slight delay where the electrons hold on to the energy before re-emission, where the greater the permittivity of the material, the greater the delay. This causes the secondary electromagnetic waves to be out of phase compared to the original wave, resulting in constructive interference ahead of the dipole and destructive interference behind. Again, the constructive and destructive interferences of the waves are a difficult concept to imagine, so I have produced a graph to represent this. In this example, x equals 0 is where the theoretical dipole exists. The blue dashed line is the original ray of light, And the orange dashed line is the secondary electromagnetic waves released by the dipole. In this example, the secondary wave is delayed by half a radian, representing the effect of the permittivity of the glass. As these constructively and destructively interfere, they form a superposition seen in the solid green line. It can be seen that the final wave is slightly delayed compared to the original incident wave, forming a delayed wavefront. This process is happening over and over again, constantly rebuilding the wave as it passes through the glass, slowing it ever so slightly. And at the macroscopic scale, it looks like the light slows down while it passes through the glass. A similar thing happens when you take into account spectral effects, or the effect of higher and lower frequencies of light, as the degree of phase lag depends on the frequency of the incoming wave. This is because not only do you have to consider the effects of permittivity, you must understand natural resonances which occur within the material. This can be explained by the Lorentz Oscillator Model, where the shorter wavelengths, like blue and violet, generally interact more strongly with the electrons, making the delay more pronounced, and the longer wavelengths, like red, pass through more easily. I'm currently still going through and learning about the Lorentz Oscillator Model, so I will not be able to explain this concept in this video, but you can expect to see one soon. However, 3 Blue 1 Brown has also made an amazing video, which I'm going to link in the description below, which you can check out in the meantime. And that basically wraps it up. If you found this video interesting, please consider supporting me through subscribing. I'll be posting every 2 weeks as I work through more concepts, projects, and eventually hands-on experiments. The next video I have in mind is on the attenuation of light as it passes through a material, but if you have any ideas, please leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.